Hi everyone, my name's Elsie. I'm the host of Birthing at Home, a podcast, and I'm doing a bit of advocacy for home birth in the state of Victoria in Australia. And today I'm going to be talking about the 3, hopefully soon to be 5, publicly funded home birth programs in Victoria. Publicly funded means that it's kind of free. We're paying for it with Medicare. Publicly funded home birth is going to make home birth so much more accessible for so many women, but it is really important to remember that there's inclusion and exclusion criteria to get into some of these programs. So right now there's Sunshine, Joan Kerner Women's and Children's. Their home birth program's been running for a while now. To get into their program, you can contact the program directly. The information is also all within the Google Drive on the Home Birth Victoria Facebook group. Hopefully there'll be a bit more of a solidified place to access it someday soon, and you can read all the inclusion exclusion criteria about that particular program, but there are pretty much similarities through all of them. The next one is Barwon Health's Geelong Hospital publicly funded home birth program, which started in January this year in 2024. Like I said, the criteria to get in or to be kicked out is very similar. Also important to ask that if you are like kicked out or risked out or told you're ineligible at 36 weeks, some programs will keep you within their midwifery group practice, but some will have you out of the midwifery group practice altogether. So that's a risk you take by entering into one of these free programs. And the third one is the Royal Women's, which started also in January 2024. It's a bit trickier to get into that particular program because to get into the Royal Women's publicly funded home birth program, you have to already have jumped through the hoops to get into their caseload program called the Cosmos. I'm not too sure what the criteria to get into Cosmos are, but to access that particular program, you don't go in requesting a home birth, you go in trying to get into the Cosmos, and then you can request to get into the home birth program. I don't have any like direct contacts for that. If you contact the consumer liaison officers at the Royal Women's, they hopefully can connect you, but I've not had any luck with that. They're not super transparent, but Sunshine and Geelong both have direct contacts for the home birth program particularly. The 4th program hopefully will start mid to late 2024, and that is Mercy Heidelberg, which is very exciting. They've never had this program before, so they're still in the process of setting it up, but I would say that the inclusion exclusion criteria is going to be pretty much exactly the same. And then the 5th publicly funded home birth program is hopefully restarting in Berwick through Casey Hospital. So this program was operating before COVID, but somehow, somewhere it got shut down, which is pretty common with home birth. Anyway, so that's the 5, hopefully, publicly funded home birth programs that will be available in 2024 as Heidelberg and Berwick hospitals come on board. I can talk a little bit about that as well, but if you want to look out for the inclusion and exclusion criteria, you can check it out on the Home Birth Victoria Facebook group. In the file section there's a link to a Google Drive and you can check it all out there. What I do want to say is that if you aren't eligible for these programs, then that doesn't mean that you can't have a home birth. I just want to make that really clear, because that is like my concern, that women are gonna ask to be able to be supported in a home birth, and they're going to be told they're not appropriate, they're too risky. Please keep in mind that everyone's perception of risk is different. What I am happy to accept risk of, you might not be happy to accept like the same level of risk, and risk is a very like like what is risk and chance and increased risk and doubling risk and all of those words. What does it actually mean? So for example, one of the exclusion criteria across the Barwon Health and Sunshine programs is that after 41 plus 6, the midwives will no longer be able to support you to have a home birth. But I would be asking, like, why? I'm not here to tell you that evidence. There's plenty out there. Just please keep in mind that the hospital systems are going to be taking on only the lowest of lowest risk, and they will quite happily kick you out of the home birth program if you look too risky, whatever that means. There are other risks, like if you test positive for GBS, the group B testing, and whether you have antibiotics for that. Of course, there's lots of research out there that you can check out. The Great Birth Rebellion has a good episode on group B strep. So just, yeah, be informed, ask questions. Going back to a previous video of the 17 questions to ask your private midwives, you can use that to kind of help you structure what questions you might want to ask when you're hopefully trying to get into these programs. But keep in mind that it's not the same as a private midwife in that you can pick and choose. The program will only have like a set number of midwives allocated to that particular program, and from what I hear, they're quite popular. It's free, so that makes it very attractive, but the free comes with additional things to think about. So I hope that is helpful. Again, all of the inclusion and exclusion criteria are in the Google Drive. The Royal Women's isn't very transparent with their inclusion exclusion criteria, but I think that's because you have to get into the Cosmos first. So maybe you need to look into the Cosmos exclusion and inclusion criteria to then figure out if you'd even be eligible for home birth. Another thing is that most or all of them only accept women that live or will be living within a 30-minute radius of the hospital. So if you live more than 30 minutes away from the hospital in the middle of the day on a weekday, then you automatically won't be able to access the publicly funded home birth program. I would be asking why that is as well. But that's a whole other topic. But yeah, there are ways around it. I think I would be thinking about, you know, if you really want this publicly funded free home birth opportunity, then if you were to move, say at 35 weeks to a location within that 30-minute radius, whether that's a hotel or Airbnb or something, like plenty of women do have to move, especially in regional and remote areas, to access healthcare. So if you can do that, then maybe you would be included, you could be included into that program. So I'd be asking, is that an option for you? Yeah, I hope this video was helpful. If you have any extra questions, feel free to comment below, or you can join the Home Birth Victoria group and ask a question there. I think publicly funded home birth is such an awesome initiative to make home birth accessible, but I do think that it's not perfect. But hopefully it builds up the name of home birth. And yeah, so hopefully we get a bit more home birth advocacy going and more women accessing home birth and more women knowing what home birth is, and reducing the really terrible stigma and stereotypes that are attached with home birth that are absolutely not correct. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up or comment, or listen to a podcast. Thanks.